Local webcasting for a worldwide audience.
jaharer jeme katvrielana duchilam niwi tujor walan boys kuno ala Yilshin la la Yilshin li la la Yilshin la la Sala star the desiali Jimmy Brishu Haranari Duchilam Gulan Bud Speak all and Shagamaji Yilshin La Yilshin Ni Wajin Yilshin La Salasar the Desiali Sigol and Shogamaji Yilshin La Yilshin Ni Waji Yilshin La Salisar the Desiali Why
We've just heard All Folked Up with their version of U2's With or Without You, followed by Níl La, the opening song from Clannad's eponymous debut album released in 1973 on the Phillips Island label.
These are played to mark the recent passing of two stellar artists from the Irish folk community, Barry Mohan, guitarist of Dublin-based folk rock group All Folked Up, who has died aged 28 in a road traffic collision, and Noel Duggan, guitarist, vocalist and founding member of legendary County Donegal Celtic folk band Clannad, who has died aged 73. Our thoughts are with their family and friends. Hannah, their music lives on in our lives as they join the folk firmament.
They do indeed, Nick, they do indeed. Also, I loved that cover of With or Without You, which is one of my favourite U2 songs. I really do enjoy that song a lot. And who knew you could improve it by bunging on a banjo solo?
Well, you know what, Hannah, once you've got that iconic bass line, you could put a penny whistle on that or even a kazoo and it would still work. But no, that is a really beautiful version.
Really good. Hannah and Nick McMaster, a Brighton-based alt-folk band, The Sweet Ordeal, here with Finding Land Folk Show, music from the shores of folk. And the boat has arrived again, Nick. Welcome, everyone.
Welcome. Whether you are steeped in the genre like me, a toe dipper like Hannah, or joining the journey for the first time, we are delighted that you can join us for an hour or so of traditional and contemporary folk and folk-adjacent music from around the UK and beyond, with a healthy sprinkling of artists from our own beautiful part of the world in Sussex. We want be druv, Hannah. We want be druv.
We definitely want, Nick. The Unthanks are undoubtedly the North East's greatest export since Alvida's Ain Pet. They are a recording and live band so accomplished that it is a sound argument that we should change the idiom from selling coals to Newcastle to sending music to Northumbria. Led by sisters Rachel and Becky, who have, in my mind, one of the best surnames going, Nick, don't you think?
Absolutely. And do you want to know something, Hannah?
Well, always, Nick.
Well, the name Unthank does originate from that part of the world and comes from the Old English word unthansis, which means without leave and denotes the dwelling of a squatter.
Wow, you really are like the ever-giving fountain of knowledge, aren't you, Nick?
I've certainly been told I'm a fountain.
Here they are in their earliest itineration as Rachel, Unthank and the Winterset. From their 2007 album, The Bairns, a Mercury Prize runner-up, this is I Wish, I Wish.
It's all in vain. I wish I was a maid again, but I'm made again. I never can be till apples grow on an orange tree. I wish my baby it was born and smiling on his daddy's knee. Then I would go to yon churchyard, the long green grass grow over me. When my apron strings hung low, he followed me through frost and snow. But now my apron's to my chair, he goes on an orange tree. I wish it was all in vain. I wish it wasn't made again. It's all in vain. I wish I was a maid again, but I'm made again. I never can be. Till apples grow on an orange tree. Your smile told me I was wonderful. You made my heart beat so wild, then ruptured it with a single smoke. Oh, I wish we had never kissed. I slept under my dear bed upon the summer down. Carol King was more holy ground. Avoided you, I found myself collecting dust on your crowded shelf.
You've heard the remarkable talents of Rachel Unthank and the Winterset with I Wish, I Wish, followed by the country pop stylings of Cornish singer-songwriter Bailey Tomlinson with I Wish It Didn't End Like This. And Hannah, this is an episode of Wishes Fulfilled as we announce a new partner in our folk music venture, plus start a run of episodes featuring an amazing array of talent interviewed during September's Brighton and Hove Folk Festival.
Indeed it is. So does that mean that I get my wish for you to take me on a all expenses paid shopping spree to Moschino and Vivienne Westwood?
We were lucky enough to be guests of the festival, courtesy of the founders and promoters Folk Room, where we interviewed 15 acts in one day.
Phew, it was quite exhausting, but so fun.
Absolutely. Towards the end of each interview, we asked each act for a song selection, one of their own and one from an artist or band they admire.
Before we start this journey, let's have a new release, which came in via our email address. See, Nick? People email us, not just bots. And if you want that email address, it is findinglandfolkshow@gmail.com. After 12 years and 4 albums with East Sussex-based UK Americana band Hatful of Rain, Phil Jones releases his first ever album, St Peter's Thumb. 50 years of playing music from the working men's clubs of South Wales to concert and festival stages across the country. This record is Phil's expression of a lifetime's work listening to, writing and performing the music he loves. New Homes, the lead single, rails against the system which denies people their most basic needs, a safe and affordable place to live. Very relevant.
They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Can you hear the money call? Yes, they're talking about new homes. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Our new home. Wet green fighting man will never see their like again. Finance through some government shtick where a loaf costs more than the price of a brick. Sitting on a mortgage in a tiny flat. You can't buy a beach hut on the south coast for that. A foot on the ladder is what they said, and now I'm not so sure. So they're talking about those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new home. Can you hear the money call? Yes, they're talking about new homes. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Our new homes. I made it cross the Libyan charter. The man took my money right out to Tajura. Just try thinking of the land of plenty when you're hanging neath the wagon on the Kent M20. Crept out of the camps and onto the ferry, balanced with the axle pressed against my belly. The stink of the diesel crept into my shirt, and the road passed by below. Yes, we're talking about new. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Can you hear the money call? Yes, they're talking about new homes. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Our new homes. creeps up from the sea. Guards a town tarpaulin wrapped misery. Up to the checkpoint where the sick to fate, caught on both sides by this cruel blockade. The kids play soldiers near the old hotel to watch themselves on CNN amid spent shells from New Mexico. And now the soldiers come, so they're talking about new homes. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Can you hear the money call? Yes, they're talking about new homes. They're building those new homes for all. We'll be happy in our new homes. Our new homes. New homes for all. Can you hear the money call? New homes for all.
That was New Homes from Phil Jones' debut album St Peter's Thumb, released on 17th of November on Long Way Home Productions.
Nick, if someone made an album about a body part for you, it would be St Nick's oddly proportioned toe, wouldn't it?
I'm saying nothing. Hannah,
Nick,
if someone did something similar about your body part, St Hannah's Arse.
That's a great name for an album. I'd be buying that.
Now, let's move on to the first of our festival interviews. Coventry-born, Brighton-based singer-songwriter Izzie Derry has been described as the love child of Laura Marling and Alanis Morissette. Izzie creates strong and uplifting songs that capture the spirit of what it means to be a young woman in today's world. Truth.
You understand all about that, don't you, Nick?
After being astonished by the power of her voice, I started off the interview asking Izzie about her songwriting process.
Well, the Brighton Hove Folk Festival has actually kicked off, Hannah, and we've had our first act, Izzie Derry, and my God, what a voice. An amazing voice. The power is unbelievable, Hannah.
Absolutely. I really, really enjoyed listening to that. And yeah, wow, power blew me away in those songs. Absolutely fantastic.
I'd be absolutely exhausted, Izzie. Anyway, welcome to Finding Land Folk Show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure. So your lyrics appear to be autobiographical, when performed seem like some kind of emotional release. Can you tell me about your songwriting process and if that's an accurate kind of summary?
Yeah, no, I definitely say that's very accurate. I guess for me it was always like I have not always been able to speak about my emotions very clearly, so writing songs has kind of like been like a therapy for me to work through emotions and stuff. So I guess that's kind of it really. If there's something that's in my head, it just gets it out.
And what kind of comes first? Is it a thought or a feeling and you base a song around that, or do you start with kind of some music in your head, or is it a bit of a mixture?
For me, weirdly enough, I'll be feeling something and then a line with a melody, it'll all just kind of build around that quite fast normally. Sometimes there's ones that take a bit longer, but normally it's quite fast and it's just like, like just like threw up all over a piece of paper, basically.
That sounds like a real kind of thought shower thing. It just comes out of you. I know that feeling quite well. You think, I've got to get it out, and suddenly it's a stream of consciousness just getting there on the paper. Brilliant. I love that sort of songwriting.
Absolutely. I've read that you supported the legendary British folk rock band Fairport Convention, who we've seen at Cropredy. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so that was up. I'm from Coventry, and that was in a massive church in Leamington Spa, which is just down the road. So because I kind of grew up there. I know a lot of people, and someone just said, like, I'm putting on this show with Fairport Convention. Will you support? Because I think you'd be perfect. And it was insane. It was an amazing show. There's such lovely people, and yeah, it was a brilliant opportunity to have had the chance to play with them.
We're standing next to someone who's been really close to Fairport Convention. We hail you. How do you see your music developing in the future?
So I'm working on an album at the minute, which I finished the crowdfunder about March time, and I'm just finishing off all the production to get it ready to be mixed at the minute. So yeah, it's kind of a bit different. It still is a bit folky, but I think it's going a bit more experimentally into, like, definitely pop, and, like, I don't know, it's just not necessarily me and an acoustic guitar. It's kind of a lot different.
But is that because your subject matter changing, or the way you're kind of hearing how your lyrics can be presented to sort of move in from kind of a sort of stripped back acoustic to a fuller sound?
Yeah, so I'd say the song content is a lot more kind of aggressive and angry, and I started playing piano and started playing that quite aggressively as well, so I think it's just kind of moved, and I've really got into artists like PJ Harvey and Fiona Apple and stuff, so they're not quite traditional folk, are they? They're very far away from that.
You talked about, before one of the songs, you said this one's a bit more sort of bluesy, a bit more about emboldening people, and, you know, and I really, really enjoyed that, and I really enjoyed the sentiment behind that. Is that more what you're moving towards?
Yeah, so Fire is one that I've written in the past, and that was from my last EP. Definitely that kind of fiery, like, aggressiveness is what the new stuff is, and it's because I've got more things to say and I'm angry about more things now, like, and that's what happens when you get older, isn't it?
If that happens when you get older, my age, I should be absolutely spitting about everything. And we'll make sure we make this interview really good, because I don't want to get on the wrong side of you, unless of course we're going to be in your album. Have you got an album title yet at all?
I have not. I don't really know what to call it. It's quite hard because it's my first album as well. So no, I'm sorry, but we should have the first single in January, so I can give you that.
Yeah, what, the name? Do you know the name?
I think it's going to be a song called Try.
Well, make sure you get in touch. We'll look out for it, and we'll definitely play that. We're going to play one of your songs on our show. Which song are we going to play?
I think because you guys said you liked it, we'll go with Fire.
And if you'd like us to play any song, what would that be?
As we both said, we like Fiona Apple, Under the Table. Yeah.
Good choice.
Absolutely. Izzie, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for joining us on Finding Land Folk Show, and we'll definitely be following your career. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is my time, when this time is mine to break out of this box I've been living in. I'm tired of being someone who's scared, tired of saying I've grin and bear it. I'm tired of trying to make everyone smile, tired of trying to fulfill their desire. I'm gonna start a fire. This is the life you get, yeah, that's it. The only chance you get, that's it. So I'll take this world and I'll make it mine, and I'll live this life till the day I die, and I'll do the things I was born to do, and I'll do whatever I want to. I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna start it. Fire, fire. Oh, I've been collecting these matches to make me some magic, and I'm gonna start a fire. 'Cause I won't be held back, and when I'm gone I won't come back, and I won't be held back, and when I'm gone I won't come back. I'm gonna start it from you. I'm gonna start it from you. I've been correcting these matches to make me some magic, and I'm gonna start the disagree, but begging disagrees with me. I would beg to disagree, but begging disagrees with me.
I told you I didn't want to go to this dinner. You know I don't go for those ones that you bother about. So when they say something that makes me start to simmer, that fancy wine won't put this fire out. Oh, kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. I'd like to buy you a pair of pillow-soled hiking boots to help you with your climb, or rather to help the bodies that you step over along your route, so they won't hurt like mine. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. And if I don't wanna go, leave me alone. Don't push me. Cookie, don't push me. Don't you push me. If you get me to go and I open my mouth to the fucking mutton that they're talking about, you could pout, but don't you shush me. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. And if I don't wanna go, leave me alone. Don't push me. Cookie, don't push me. Don't you push me. If you get me to go and I open my mouth to the fucking mutton that they're talking about, you can pout, but don't you shush me. I would beg to disagree, but begging disagrees with me. I would beg to disagree, but begging disagrees with me. Under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up. Kick me under the table all you want. I won't shut up. I won't shut up.
Next up, Jack Harris, a Welsh-born folk singer-songwriter, musician and poet. He is multi-award winning, most notably winning the 2005 New Folk Songwriting Competition at Kerrville Folk Festival in Texas, the first non-American to do so. Jack Harris has been described as a priest of song by singer Anais Mitchell. High praise indeed. Reflecting on Jack's first song in his set, where he referenced Edward Woodward's role in the folk horror film The Wicker Man, Nick started off by asking him about their shared love. not me.
Play your cards right, you could be. Jack, call me. Though she might be a MILF for you.
So rude. I'm just a young girl negotiating the world, Nick.
Like Izzie Derry.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're here now with Jack Harris. Now, what I want to know first off, Jack, is how much of a Wicker Man fan are you?
You were listening. I'm a big Wicker Man fan. Yes, I thought it is a folk horror, but as far as I can tell, seldom worked into folk song the other way around. It incorporates a lot of folk song within it, so I thought it was time to do the opposite, and I did. So I'm a big Wicker Man fan. The original, and then the Cage remake just for laughs.
I've got to say, when you opened with that line about Edward Woodward, because Wicker Man is one of my favourite films of all time, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. What a great reference to have as your opening line. Loved it.
You find it's like a flag for friends. If people know it, they know it, and, yes. and then they're with you. So yeah.
And of course, Magnet, probably one of the best brought together bands ever. Beautiful. Actually, one thing I will say is, after your introduction and your banter in between songs, you are now officially the third funniest person I know. I'm the first, Hannah's the second. You've gone straight in at number 3. And to be fair, I think you might be moving up that chart pretty quickly. I mean, in folk, often introductions and just talking about songs is important. What's the importance for you in terms of talking between songs?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, it's very important for me. I think it's part and parcel of, if we can permit me to be a bit lofty for a minute, the art of live music. I get very bored with people who simply who play a succession of songs and almost willfully sometimes have nothing to say in between. I mean, if you're a musician, one might say you've got a fairly romantic life that should give rise to the odd story or the odd witty remark, the odd observation. To me, also, it's akin to theatre. Eric Taylor, who I mentioned, was great at this. In my longer sets, I've tried to bring in more sort of dramatic monologue and things like this, which, rather than the kind of time tested, this is what this song is about and this is how I wrote it, which I find kind of banal after a while. The idea is to sort of try and create a mood that in some way supports the piece and expands upon that, so it becomes an experience for people to go through live, rather than just this kind of detached succession of songs. That's something like that anyway, but it's what I look for in live acts, live singer-songwriters especially, and that's what I've tried to emulate.
Could you tell us, Jack, what your actual approach to music is and writing music? Do you start with lyrics first or a sound in your head?
Generally speaking, it's sort of both. I start with an idea. So the Edward Woodward song, which I think is called Lambs at this stage, brought to mind the bigger idea of sacrifice and what that might mean, a more general sense. And so you sit and your hand finds something that seems to suit it on the guitar, and these ideas, and it's a product of listening very intently for my whole life, and they come out, but it's sort of like thunder and lightning, really. They do kind of both happen at the same time, the lyric and the music. It's just one might be more formed before the other, I think. But it's musically quite intuitive, but lyrics are where I sweat it out more. The lyric certainly, I suppose, gets the bulk of the thought and the revision and the study, if you like. Yeah.
So you've got an opportunity to play one of your songs on our show. So what song would that be?
I quite like it then if you played High Heels, which is on the 6 songs. Keeps it about, I'd say, Ben Walker recorded that EP with me, and that song is one that has come to mean a lot to me because of where it comes from. I mentioned Eric Taylor, I've mentioned him here. It is in fact ultimately a sort of a response to one of his songs, and since he passed, it's become a kind of elegy as well, so I'm very fond of that one.
And we're also going to let you choose any folk song by any artist, something that inspires you or that you just love. What would that be?
The first thing that sprung to mind is if you could do for me Dolores Keane's version of the Bantry Girls' Lament, which is off her first record, and it's my favourite version of that particular song.
Love a lament.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So Jack, thank you so much for joining us, and one final question for you is, if you were actually placed in the Wicker Man, instead of chickens and cows and donkeys to be your accompaniment, who would be in there with you?
Oh gosh, who would be? It's a question of, I am burning to death in this, aren't I? So it's a question of who would I want to accompany me into a kind of fiery holocaust of pagan. Is it somebody I wish harm upon, or somebody I just want to, take the? I'll go for the nice one. Somebody I want to just keep me company while we go down. Let's have.
We're free next Saturday.
Yeah, come on. Well, why not then? Let's all do that. Yeah. I think as far as well, surely there's your kind of Comic-Con fan things, and there's actually who actually ever goes through with it and burns themselves to death in an actual Wicker Man. I think let's do that.
Wicker Man cosplay, let's do it.
Exactly.
You've heard it here first. We've been Hannah and Nick and Jack, and we won't see you again. But thank you so much, Jack. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Shiver robe, grease growing round the skillet. Ain't been out of this house so long, ain't had no one in it, ain't had no one in it. Always a thing for you travelling men, you sing so low and lazy. When you gonna come my way again? When you gonna meet your babe? When you gonna meet your baby? You drove my caddy into Tennessee. I was the captain's lady, throwing them dollars from the river bridge. You know you drove me crazy, you know you drove me crazy. And the reeds around the river mouth, where I rose in a quiver, you rolled my body like a breaking wave. I felt the roll top shiver, felt the roll top shiver. Queen of spades, beads and thrift store lace, staring out the window shades and trying to play the ace. Black girls round the laundrette, wash and drain and spin, singing don't you close look lonesome now, your biscuit roller gone. Cold beer under barroom light, listening to the pool balls crack. I could live forever in just that night if I could only go back, girls, if I could only go back. And now it's high heels in the shiver robe, grease growing around the skillet. Ain't been out of this house so long, ain't had no one in it, ain't had no one in it, ain't had no one in it.
Oh, who'll plough the fields now, or who'll sell the corn? Oh, who'll wash the sheep now, and have them nicely shorn? The stack that's in the haggard, unthrashed it may remain. Since Johnny went a-thrashing, the doughty king of Spain, the girls from the Bon Oak in sorrow may retire, and the piper and his billows may go home and blow the fire. For Johnny, lovely Johnny, is sailing o'er the main, along with other patriarchs to fight the King of Spain. The boys will sorely miss him when Money More comes round, and grieve that their bold captain is nowhere to be found. The peelers must stand idle against their will and grain, for the valiant boy who gave them work now peels the King of Spain. At wakes or hurling matches you like we never see, till you come back to us again as story of McCree. And won't you trounce the buckins that shows much disdain, because our eyes are not so bright as those you meet in Spain. If cruel fate will not permit our Johnny to return, his heavy loss we bantry girls will never cease to mourn. We'll resign ourselves to our sad lot and die in grief and pain, since Johnny died for Ireland's pride in the foreign land of Spain.
You are listening to Finding Land Folk Show on Radio Lewes, where music matters. We are now dipping out of our interviews to revisit an occasional feature of the show with Hannah's Could It Be Folk slot, in which I present one of my favourite songs and ask Nick, could it be folk? Only for him to normally slap my idea down. So, presenting to Judge Nick today is a song, and not any song. One of my all-time favourite songs ever, by American four-piece multi-instrumental and vocal ensemble Devochka, who were based in Denver, Colorado, and started life as a backing band for burlesque shows. From their album How It Ends, released by Cicero Recordings Limited in 2004, this is the beautiful How It Ends.
Hannah?
Nick?
You love Devochka so much. That's the first time you've ever read out a paragraph of mine without cocking up.
What are you talking about reading out? It's all from the top of my head.
Oops.
to your breast. Gonna put it to the test. You wanted it to be blessed. And in your heart, you know it to be true. You know what you gotta do. They all depend on you. And you already know. Yeah, you already know how this will end. There is no escape from the slave catcher's songs. For all of the loved ones gone, forever's not so long. And in your soul, they walked out million holes, but you never let 'em show. Come on, it's time to go. And you know that there's a place in the sun for all that you've done, for you and your children. No longer shall you need. You always wanted to believe. Just ask and you'll receive beyond your already know. Yeah, you already know how this will end. You already know. You already know. You already know.
So thank you, Hannah.
You're welcome, Nick.
Now, first let me say, like most of Devotchka's output, this is a beautiful song.
It really is. One of the most beautiful songs I think I've ever heard. I love it.
I'm also aware that the criteria I have set might be a bit reductive, but for the sake of entertainment and debate here in the studio and among listeners at home, we're keeping it.
And because you make the rules, basically, isn't it? It's like a little mini patriarchy in this studio.
After all, a line in the sand can still mean you're on the beach. So, as a reminder, our My criteria for classic folk is what, Hannah?
Traditional instruments and a good story, which in your view is best when it's about death.
Exactly. Lyrically, with the title How It Ends and verses such as, and in your soul they poked a million holes, but you never let them show, come on, it's time to go, and references to Bibles and slave catchers' songs, I think we can safely say that this is a song about death, in the context of perhaps trying to offer reassurance over something that is irrevocable. So whilst not a story and more impressionistic, it does carry some folk imagery.
Tick.
In terms of instrumentation, this song contains keys, piano, acoustic guitar and a string section, all potentially quite folky. And we know that between them, the very talented Devotchka also play bouzouki, violin, accordion, piano, flute, trumpet, melodica and upright bass.
Sometimes all at the same time, Nick.
So they are on firm ground here. I would, however, say that the vocal delivery takes the song in a different direction, being a little on the bombastic side.
Hang on there a sec, Mr. Bombastic. I'm not so sure I'd say bombastic. Maybe I always think there's a sort of undertone of Brian Ferry's sort of sensual drawl of a voice going on there.
You are what I call a Hadley acolyte, and you know that's true.
Unbelievable. You can't help yourself with the puns.
In conclusion, Hannah, are you ready? Perhaps
ready.
You should stand.
I'm standing for your judgment, sir.
You ask, could it be folk? And I answer, no. Whilst I note that Devotchka are inspired by numerous influences, including the folk dance music of Eastern Europe, and do indeed have many songs that could meet our criteria, this song is not one of them. I would say the vocal delivery and the song structure are more akin to a stadium rock crowd pleaser. We're talking main stage at Glastonbury Festival rather than round a fire on Glastonbury tour.
Well, I have to grudgingly accept your judgment, at least outwardly. Inside, I can seethe with resentment over your judgment. But to be honest, Nick, I don't really care about your judgment for this one. I just wanted that song played on our show, so I'm happy.
Unbelievable. Does that mean we're going to have the Wombles next time?
Maybe.
Spend the whole time smoking and avoiding all my friends. I should have known that. Down at the bottom, sitting in the car, you left me on the hilltop to mourn alone the passing of my friend. I should have known then. I should have known. Said it broke your heart to go, but I was in your way. There's nothing left to say. So many lives that all begin this way. A home with a garden and I'm yours forever, darling. But you wrote the same old story in another woman's bed, just like all the other men. I should have known then.
brown man.
So, after my failed attempts at finding land with Devochka and their song How It Ends, you've just listened to How It Ends by Canadian folk duo Mamas Broke, who, like Devochka, have hints of Eastern European fiddle tunes which brush against their particular brand of Americana, don't you think, Nick?
Yes, definitely.
Back now to our final interview.
I should do. I should do. I wrote that line.
I was waiting for you to say that.
The question is, do you, Hannah?
Back now to our final interview from the recent Brighton and Hove Folk Festival. This time we are in the company of Robbie Skitmore and the Spanish Harlem Incident. I'm wondering what the incident was.
Well, Hannah.
You can stop it right there.
It is a Bob Dylan song from his 1964 album Another Side of Bob Dylan. It has been described as being about an innocent gypsy girl who completely captivated Dylan. Now, Hannah,
yeah.
I think our Lewes incident was much less innocent.
I absolutely agree with that. We start off with Nick asking Robbie if his Canadian homeland still inspires him, despite living in the southeast for over 20 years.
Okay, the festival is rolling on, and we have Robbie Skitmore with us from Robbie Skitmore and the Spanish Harlem Incident. Robbie, I've read about you a little bit online, not through 4chan, just Google. And I've read that you've actually lived, you're an East Sussex resident for a number of decades, but let's face it, you've still got a distinctly Canadian accent, and you're kind of playing in a genre of Americana, country, folk, I guess. And are you still inspired by your homeland, and where does that sit with how you are as an artist in this country?
Yeah, well, I guess you can't deny your roots, right? So... And I mean, a lot of people, when I go back, they all expect me, when I go back to Canada, they expect me to have an English accent. But, you know, I moved over here when I was like 30, so, you know, that's not going to go away, is it? Yeah, and then in terms of styles of music, it's kind of like what you grow up listening to, right? So I mean, I hovered towards the Americana and all that kind of alt country, quote unquote, whatever that means. But I was a punk rock kid, you know, and much like those bands like Wilco, they all came out of listening to like, you know, Husker Du and the Replacements and all that stuff from the 80s, you know. So I was one of those punk rock kids that kind of just eventually started playing a certain style because you were inspired by maybe some of these guys like, Wilco and Uncle Tupelo, and there's a lot of Canadian acts that do the same sort of thing. So we all kind of, as we mellowed out, we just got more and more into that whole folk country style, you know.
Actually, I started off in like kind of folk punk and baggy bands and stuff like that. And I found I moved into folk as, I guess I wanted to explore storytelling in a bit more of a sophisticated manner, a more complete manner. Yeah. Is that the kind of a journey you did?
100%. I think that's, for me, it was always about songwriting, and that was what I hovered towards even in like the punk rock and all that sort of stuff. And that's what drew me to guys like Jeff Tweedy from Wilco, and, you know, it was always about the song. So for me, you know, folk and country is just, you know, that's where it is, right? That storytelling. So yeah, I completely agree. That's pretty much it.
And I really got a sense listening to your set down there of real stories in your songs. I mean, I'm a bit of a history buff, so I really enjoyed Veteran. Yeah. It was really evocative, and I got that real sense from your songs of you evoking a place and a time. And yeah, is that important for you in how you write songs?
I think it is. It's just with songs, I guess you're just drawing pictures with words, right? So I guess that's kind of it. For me, when I was younger, I started writing songs at like 10 years old, but they'd always be cryptic, and I would set them aside and go, that's not good enough. And these days, if I start down that path, I've rewritten some of these songs like 12 times because it's just not telling enough of a story, and I don't know what it's about. So it's about honing your craft, right? So yeah, I've just been trying to keep it simple and tell that story.
And what's the importance of playing live for you? Because obviously you look like you enjoyed it. For some artists, it's about recording and having the music listened to kind of quietly. For others, it's about performing live. Where does that sit with you?
I think right in between, really. I think one of my best things is having the band behind you, right? And that feeling of a rhythm section is, I mean, that just brings me back to being 10 years old, and that is really it. And that's why, as much as I love making records and I'll always do that, I can't let go of the live thing because it's just the band. the band is cracking behind you. It is just, there's nothing like it. So I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but it is, $1 million.
Now's your opportunity to give us something to do. So if you could pick a song of yours that we can play on the show, what would that be?
Sundown. It's off my second record. I think that would be the one.
And why's that then?
I just really like the way that it came out on the record, the production and the way everyone played on it. I was just really proud of it.
Excellent. And you get the opportunity to show off another artist, so who would that be?
That's a really difficult one. Do you know what? Since I've been going on about Wilco, I went and rediscovered Summer Teeth, which is just the best album for me. How about She's a Jar?
Excellent. And may I say, I'm falling in love with your voice. You should do Jackanory. You really should. Let's get you on there. Let's make this happen. Robbie, thanks so much for being interviewed by us. I hope you enjoy the rest of the festival and look forward to looking out for you in the future.
Okay, thanks so much. Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers.
Down, the waiting is gone, you're feeling okay. It's all good signs, and it is so hard to get it right. This life is tangled and full of surprise, and the load that you carried on your back strikes a chord like the love we all lacked in a house that was not a home. The hourglass, it cracked like the Church of Rome. And time loads a ticking clock. It is a reminder of finite talk that highlights the well-worn lines on the face. The closed feet ring true for life full of grace. Don't wait me, and we all find peace in the end, my love. Crimes of primal hunger is all in the mind. I'm waiting to break ranks, sowing the seeds of anger. 10 times the strength of a heart that pumps you, full of life and the breeze. You shoot as you're down to your knees, with a smile that says take forecast, it's calling for more storms. Don't weigh me, and we all find peace in the end, my love. Fa sol la ti do, gentle where you tread my mind. Don't weigh me, and we all find peace in the end, my love.
quiz kid, a sleepy kisser, a pretty war with feelings hid. She begs me not to miss her. Says forever to light a fuse. We could use a handful of wheel and a day off and a bruised road. However, you might feel tonight is real. When I forget how to talk, I'll sing. Won't you please bring that flash to shine and turn my eyes red unless they close. But when you click and my face gets sick, stuck like a question unposed. Tracks of trains on in my fragile family tree, and watch me floating inches above the people underneath. Beware the quiet front yard. I warned you before there were water skies. I warned you not to drive. Dry your eyes, you poor devil. Are there really ones like these? The ones I dream float like leaves and freeze to spread skeleton wings. I passed through before I knew you. I believe it's just because Daddy's payday is not enough. Oh, I believe it's all because Daddy's payday is not enough. Just climb aboard the tracks of a train song in my fragile family tree. Watch me floating inches above the people underneath. My pop quiz kid, a sleepy kisser, a pretty war with feelings hid. You know she begs me not to hit her.
Thanks so much to Folk Room for the opportunity to be involved in such a great day, and to Izzie Derry, Jack Harris and Robbie Skitmore for their interviews. We'll be keeping an eye on their careers going forward and hope they'll appear on future shows. We look forward to interviews from the likes of Winterfall and Kate Stapley in our next episode.
There must be 1,000 songs to sing about this place, but the air is dry, not a single word can I embrace, and no one wants to talk on this train. No one leaves a trace, but I know you listen with your eyes. It's what I found in this town. Listen with your eyes. It's what I found in this town. You have held a million tales, but still I hear no name. I think it's a crime, but where am I supposed to hang the blame? And no one wants to talk on this train, and I think it's a shame, 'cause I know you listen with your eyes.
just listened to Town by Kitchen, the solo project of Brooklyn-based songwriter, producer and performer James M. Keegan. Before that was Town from the 1990 album The Great War of Words by Northern Irish singer Brian Kennedy, at the request of listener and regular show botherer Ashley Worthington from Brighton. Hello there, Ashley. Remember, we love requests, so do drop us a line with yours.
Hannah?
Nick?
You mentioned earlier that Devotchka started life as a backing band for burlesque shows.
I did indeed.
And did you know that Brian Kennedy was once one of Van Morrison's backing singers, appearing on a number of albums and in live concerts?
Do you know what, Nick? I didn't, because just earlier you had to tell me that he wasn't the guy with the spiky hair who played the violin in the 1980s.
Unbelievable. You weren't making plans for Nigel, were you?
No, I wasn't.
Did you want to know, Hannah, of some more famous backing singers?
Well, Nick, I didn't think I wanted to know, but now you've mentioned it, that's all I want to know about.
Gwen Stefani's older brother Eric started the band No Doubt with his friend John Spence in 1986. Stefani started out singing backup vocals, but in 1987, after Spence tragically died, Stefani took over as lead vocalist and cemented her status as one of punk pop's greatest singers.
Oh, I did not know that. Not only one of punk pop's greatest singers, but my ardent early 20s crush, she was.
Are you bi? John Lennon and David Bowie actually worked on Fame together after they met in New York for the first time in 1975. David idolised John, and their jamming in the studio led to John singing falsetto backing vocals on that song. The Righteous Brothers first recorded You've Lost That Lovin' Feeling in 1964, and Cher, then 16, provided backing vocals.
Wow, now I didn't know that one. I like that one.
Peter Gabriel had long been friends with Kate Bush when she provided backing vocals for his anti-war ballad Games Without Frontiers.
Great song.
Back in 1980. The iconic British artist sings Je Sans Frontières in the background, which translates to the song's title, and is also a reference to a famous Europe-wide television game show. Do you know what? Good job Pointless wasn't on air at that time.
And I did know that one. That was good. So 2 out of 4's not bad there. I've learnt 2 new things. So thank you.
You're welcome. Now, Hannah.
Nick.
Just came in this morning via findinglandfolkshow@gmail.com.
Oh, yeah.
Is a communication from the magnificent Lady Nade.
Ah, yes.
She has just recorded an amazing Sister Rosetta Tharpe cover, My Journey to the Sky, for Black History Month.
Fantastic.
She recorded this song because she wanted to shine a light on Tharpe, who, of course, is the original soul sister and the godmother of rock and roll.
Absolutely.
My Journey to the Sky is out on the 26th of November as a digital download.
There's only one thing that I long for when I reach that heavenly land, to see my Jesus and his glory as I go from land to land. Sweet
wow, Hannah, that was worth quickly reprogramming our show today, wasn't it?
Absolutely, that was beautiful.
Thank you, Lady Nade.
We end today's show with an announcement of a new partnership in our podcast venture, the magnificent Sussex-based promoter Melting Vinyl.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Anna. Whilst we will continue to play great music from wherever it comes, we hope to bring some exciting new content via a promoter who does so much to showcase international, national and local folk and folk-adjacent talent. To celebrate this, we play out with a band who have regularly been presented by Melting Vinyl over the years. The gothic alt-country Americana duo, The Handsome Family, from their 1999 album Through the Trees on the Loose Music label. This is Weightless Again. And I would also say they have the same sort of level of husband and wife banter that you and I have, Nick, don't you?
It's the arrogance, Anna.
Until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Radio Lewes. Local community webcasting.